Okay, so the reason I'm doing this video is because I did a video in the past on um NLA and things of that nature. Now, for me, I kind of see it this way. I generally don't have any issue with somebody saying that they are preferred for themselves. You know, we should all say that we are, preferred for what we are, whether we're caramel, whether we are yellow, whether we are really light skinned, almost white passing, whether we're dark skinned, or whether we're brown skinned. I am all for all shades matter. I see beauty in all different races of women, really honestly. We come in all kinds of colors and we are all very, very, very beautiful. Um, so that is not really my problem with her saying that. But I wanted to address something that I was watching kind of um, because I realized that I don't think I've made a video on this that much. So there's a lot of times where darker skinned women will act like, mixed women are their preferences. Black men, dark skinned black men's preferences. And they will act like mixed is seen as the preference over being black. And to me, it's not quite like that, honestly, from my perspective. It's more like when mixed is seen as better than black to dark skinned black women and black men, it is not saying that someone who is mixed race is the best. It's saying better than these couple of black people who are dark skinned. It's not saying compared to everyone else. And the only reason mixed race is considered better is because it's mixed with something else. But if someone, which in this case they do, if someone hates the black race and they hate black people, don't like anyone who is black. Obviously, has 30, 40, 50. And I mean, obviously, if this is a matter of just, trying to get a job or something, maybe you could say there's some kind of benefit, maybe, but even then, I don't know. So, a whole different topic. I'm talking about dating preferences here. And to me, it's just like when someone doesn't like the black race, then they don't like black people. I don't understand how people can't understand that obviously they don't like mixed people because they hate what the person is mixed with. So if you're 50% black and someone says mixed is better, what are they really saying? They're saying you're bad, but you're not as bad as someone who is 100% black. That whole question that I have, what are you mixed with, as if it's a compliment, and acting like you're mixed, you're not black like those girls. Well, I'm going to continue. Like I said, when someone has, some kind of preference for people who are not black, and you're saying they prefer mixed people, yet they hate black people when they hate 50% of. That doesn't make any sense. That's an oxymoron, literally. And someone says mix is better, mix and black. So black is bad, black is the worst. Mix is one step away from the worst thing ever. Is that all that's in this world? Just mixed people and black people? Like, seriously. We all know it isn't. So when people say or ask if you're mixed or see it as a compliment, they're really just saying that you're half of you. But I'm not going to be so angry at you because there are plenty of other people that that's they still who is not as black as that mixed person as better. And this is why this translates into every other woman being seen as better. And that why this like Cardi B or Santana are preferred. I, I don't think people like that who are what they call ambiguous, which they are not. I'll say Denny is ambiguous. I wouldn't say Cardi B is ambiguous. A lot of other people who are just slightly lighter than a lot of other lighter than a paper bag. Like that doesn't make someone ambiguous. There are plenty of Africans who are light skinned, but I digress. I just think that obviously these people are not black at all. Someone who is mixed is still black, whether they're 20% black, 30% black, 40, 50, you name it. If you're part black and someone hates black people, they hate you too. That's like a black American saying, "Oh, I feel good because somebody hates black people, but I'm only 75% black. So they don't hate 25% of me." Do you see black Americans walking around saying that? Most black Americans are like 75% black. That'd be so stupid if somebody walked around trying to say that, "Hey, I'm all right because I'm actually 1/4 white, so they're not talking about me. They're not offending me because they don't dislike the 1/4 white in me." Like, you guys make no sense. And in the black community, you can look and see anytime somebody who is not black, and I literally mean not black, not including mixed people. Mixed people are black. But talking about maybe, for example, white or Hispanic people, especially white women, I think as white women, honestly, because they still have some color and they're still not white. I don't know. If you look, you'll see. You can see how white women are treated in our community. Um, they are often preferred over everyone, and it. it makes sense. So that's why it's always like weird to me, because it's like I don't get why people talk about colorism when it's like, in the whole scheme of things, no one gets preferred over them. And there, why anyone talks about like these mixed race people being preferences. It's like, I don't see it. I don't get it. It's like, well, you're not paying attention. You just understood that you were less preferred than these mixed race women. But these mixed race women, and honestly, being completely honest, the only type of woman that accepts that kind of preference is the one with a very, very, very low self-esteem. And honestly, there's several culprits to this, and I'm going to go through quite a few. Honestly, let's see. Danny, are part Dominican. Cardi B is half black, actually. And black women and men love to pretend that these are, typical Latinas, which is so weird to me. I'd be like, I don't understand why people always act like they're just a typical Latina when, I mean, like, they don't have any, like, Hispanics, for example, in America, most Hispanics don't have black in them like they do. They're not Dominicans. Usually they are mestizo. I have grown around Hispanics. They don't look like them. If I saw them, I would just associate them with black people. I would not associate them with I don't see it in Cardi B taking. So that's how I see that. Um, so basically, among Hispanic people, basically, the preference is definitely not them. Like, most Hispanics in America are from Central America and Mexico, at least out here in Southwest. And you can see that in their countries, people like them are just treated like black people. They aren't treated like Hispanic people in their countries, people of their race, of their mestizo race. They're treated like black people. And generally, the preference for these people is not even themselves, not even the mestizos themselves, but people who are more like castizo, who are more white than Native American, have much more of a Euro phenotype. These women have nothing in common with their ideals. Nothing. They're not even included as their people often. They're looked at as black people who sometimes they realize they speak Spanish. That's about it. But they're not actually accepted as Hispanic people. And I know that because I've grown up around Hispanic people. I've grown up around white people and Hispanic people, secondarily Hispanic people, but I have grown up around Hispanic people. So I just find that weird that people say this and act like, they are preferred, but the thing is, in their community, they are rejected from their community. So this kind of like results back to what I was saying about why they accept it from another community, because in their community, they're not even really accepted as Hispanic, let alone seen as, favored in their, community. And I think maybe it's just separation from another race. That's why Black people don't pay attention, that there is a physical difference, obviously, in these people compared to, other like Hispanic people. Maybe they can't tell the difference. I don't know. But obviously, they don't look anything like someone like Demi Lovato, Christian Serrato, or Shakira, or an Eva Longoria, or even a Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez honestly looks a bit more ethnic. Honestly, I would say she looks kind of a bit Afrocentric, just a tiny bit more than typically. Um, so in general, we all know like a lot of Dominicans aren't really well accepted. Um, among the whole Hispanics at least. Many of them are seen as black. Um, and would be treated that way in their countries, honestly. Well, the majority of like Hispanic people in America, aren't black. So that's what I mean. They have to kind of like accept their blackness and in turn try and be accepted by someone. So that's kind of like where it seems like they're left off at. And largely as they are rejected, by Hispanics who celebrate the even wider looking Hispanic women than their own average. Cardi B actually touched upon that. How being projected by, Latin Americans by saying like that in their community, they like uphold people who are very, very much more white and phenotype than she is, and how she's treated in her community and how she felt they preferred other types of women. So with these women being so rejected and broken and anyone's I feel like they need like anyone's validation, even knowing full well these men, put all white women ahead of them, even their own Hispanic women ahead of them, and Asian women quite easily. Even Indian women who are like dark skinned will be put ahead of any woman who looks like she's of African heritage. So that's why I'm like saying that their preferred or their preference is silly, because we all know that other things are put ahead of that. But the reason, I think, choose a man who hates himself and hates half of them, I mean, is I don't feel they much better than that, you know. And I feel like that's just because of society, breaking them down like that by both white people and Hispanic people, honestly. I mean, like, it comes from both sides, honestly. And I think that's why they accept that these men value them, devalue them, and use them and put them below all women except full black women. Someone so desperate to why they accept it to me, I think, is because they actually accept that belief and agree with those beliefs that they are indeed lesser, which is so sad. And that's why, for them, maybe it's not that offensive when someone thinks that they're mixed and mixed is better than being black, because in their minds, they see that they're 50% other race or 60 or whatever the percentage is the better side of them. And they hate and dislike and feel that other side of them that's black is the lesser part of them. So they feel like the only way they can benefit is off of someone who hates their whole blackness, so then they can live in a continuum of feeling better about the fact that they are part black, a part of them that they don't like, you know, and that even though they're part black, at least they still have some kind of consolation prize as far as being not all black. So in their minds, I think they too think that they are bad, that they are worse, but they're not the worst at the end of the day. And so they're basically living off of that, which is sad. But honestly, it's like I, I don't feel like they are really just half of you and hate half of you. I mean, come on now. As someone who is half black myself, I refuse to be broken down to that level, honestly. I mean, like, everybody's dealt with racism from all sorts of people. I personally dealt with a lot of racism from Hispanic people, and I have dealt with a lot of racism from some black people as well. It can be in different ways. Like I said, it could be like someone saying that mixed is better than black, and wanting you to be mixed race or something of that nature, being interested in you because they think you're mixed race or whatever. And it's like, to me, that I will always find offensive, and no matter how anyone else perceives it, I guess it doesn't really affect me because of how I grew up, which I've said many times. But I don't blame these women. Many of the time, some people are raised with families where they do praise and worship and appreciate whiteness more often than other races. So then they act like that's ideal. And how are they supposed to really fight against that when that's all they've ever been taught? And, you know, society teaches them that. So they're kind of just trying to maneuver in a society that basically condemns them. thankfully for me, I have a dark skinned black mother, and my mother is really beautiful. And she's really young looking because she's dark skinned. A lot of dark skinned black women are usually a lot younger looking. So their beauty kind of lasts for a long time. I keep wondering when she's gonna look old. Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's why I personally have always felt like white people, and other races, Hispanic, Asian, Black, appreciated her phenotype and things of that nature. And she kind of like flipped the script, kind of, and had like a kind of condescending view of white people and their appearance. How you can think someone's skin or their eyes are weird, but you could think they're an attractive person. That's how my mother was, basically. So for me, I grew up kind of like thinking darker skin was more attractive. And I've said that several times. To me, I always thought ideal beauties were like Gabrielle Union, Brandy, and like Kelly Rowland, things of that nature, like the Chocolate Sisters, really. I've always thought that they were more ideal and beautiful. And for me, I mean, like I've always wished I was darker skinned because I always want like this kind of like Somali like phenotype going on. I always wanted to have that, but you have to kind of accept what you do have, and find your own way to shine, basically. But I mean, like if I didn't have like that kind of pro black rearing, maybe I would feel the same way. But to me, I've never wanted to buy into someone else's pain and hurt and self hate to benefit me, because I mean, like, that must mean that I'm just some low, low, low motherfucker. I'm sorry. But I mean, like, I'm really, really, really desperate to feel better than something or feel good about myself that I need someone's self hate to benefit me. I don't need it. I don't need it that bad. Maybe it's because I can get other kinds of men, and honestly, even if I couldn't, I still wouldn't be attracted to black men. I don't know. It's just how things are for me. I didn't grow up around dark skinned black men, so I guess that's it. Or we can keep guessing. I don't know. But in total, a man who doesn't understand black women and mixed women aren't less than and don't have the value and same values as I do. I would never be with a man that did not like black people or thought like hated half of me. Like, I don't care what race he is, even if he wasn't a self hater. What if he was white or Hispanic and he just hated half of me or something? I would never be with a guy like that, because to me it's like, well, if you hate black people but if you're okay with mixed people, that just means that you hate half of me. I can't do something like that. That just doesn't make sense to me, because it's like, unless it's like a preference thing, I can understand that. Like if you're only sexually attracted to mixed women. I had that once where, and I was like, I didn't care at that point, because it was kind of like, I thought it was more so a proximity thing than a like they're less than kind of thing, or like they didn't even recognize the difference or anything like that. Sometimes white people is different because like they are white, so then like if they prefer someone that's mixed, it might be the same as like how black people can prefer mixed people over white people kind of thing. But I'm just saying, like, as far as saying black people are less than that. If you think like that black people are less than, or black people are bad, or mixed is better, like, if you're just like, you were into like a kind of phenotype, that's different. But if you actually like value someone on being mixed or versus being black, that is a sign of, you don't like black people. And if you don't like black people, you don't like mixed people. You don't like anyone who's part black because you don't like that part of them that's black. That's just how it is. Only honestly, someone who is too mentally lacking, I guess unintelligent, you could say, someone who isn't very smart, basically, would, take a man, in my opinion, who said that to them as a compliment. To me, I mean, like, if you're not smart enough to understand that, it says something about you, that you aren't able to understand that. He obviously hates half of you. And honestly, I mean, like, for people who, feel like a boost, or like feel better with a man who hates themselves, like I said, I feel like that obviously means someone is very insecure with themselves. And, if you, some people, they are so desperate for love that they will take a man who hates half of them because they feel like, this is the best that they can get. And I mean, like, I don't have any malice against someone who is that way. I just feel sorry for them, that that's how they feel about themselves. And most obviously, in closing, anyone can tell that obviously a man who hates half of a woman, a quarter of a woman, or whatever, whatever part of her, is completely incapable of loving her. Any smart woman would know that. Like, obviously, any smart woman would understand, love her. If you hate a part of her, if you hate half of her, there's no way you can love her. That's why I always thought, of course, you're gonna have bad relationship with people like that. Of course, they're gonna treat you really poorly. Because one, I mean, he's a person with a low self-esteem. He's a person who hates himself. He has some personal issues he's not dealing with. If he can't love himself, he probably can't love you. But even after that, obviously, that's already been solved, that he can't love you because he hates half of you. He hates half of you. The only thing that is the question, do you hate half of you too? Because if you hate half of you too, you guys have something in common now. And now you can get together and be comfortable together because you both agree that that half of you is bad. People hated each other, had a kid, and created more hate and self-hate, which is sad. But that's just generally how I feel in closing to this video. I think a lot of people think that the preference is a certain thing, uh, you know, a mixed race or a black Hispanic person. And it's like, if that was the case, then I don't understand, how these people could be preferred, yet can't a whole third, a whole half of them. You just can't. especially when there are people that you actually prefer that are white at all, who you can actually prefer all of them and actually treat them way better than any mixed person or black person. So that's why I'm like, I get tired of the dark skinned black women pretending like this is preferred. That's not preferred. It's just some people are treated better than you, but I mean, the only people that would accept that, like I said, would have to hate themselves or have a low self esteem because literally that's a backhanded compliment saying, mixed is better than black because mixed, you're basically saying that mixed is only good because it's mixed and you hate half of that person. So that's all I have to say on this. The preference isn't the real preference in that case. Um, I would think more of like women would be the preference. That's all I have to say. Have a great day. Bye.